The man pried open his own mouth. A decayed tooth embedded inside tortured him unbearably. There was no dentist around. He had to pick up a skate, wedged the blade into his teeth, reached out slowly for a nearby stone. The immense pain made him pass out. When the next day's sunlight hit his face, the tormented man looked haggard. The wound on his thigh began to fester. Even more frustrating, the forgotten flashlight also drained its last bit of light. No time to grieve. He used the skate to cut open his clothes, with bubble wrap from a delivery box, made a simple bandage for the wound, then used a lady's dress to make a makeshift fishing net. After some practice, he had mastered the skill of catching fish, yet the hard-to-swallow seafood reminded him he should make a fire and eat cooked food. So he decided to try drilling wood for fire, but it wasn't as easy as imagined. He drilled from day to night, and from night to day. His palms were worn raw, but not a single spark appeared. So he tried a second method, but after rubbing for a long time, still no effect. His hand was accidentally pierced by the wood. Then he bandaged the wound, continued drilling for fire. Then he noticed the bloodstain on the ball resembled a flame, so he used sweat to draw a smiley face on the ball. He placed the ball aside to motivate himself, then desperately drilled for fire. Unexpectedly, this time it actually worked. He found that as long as air could flow in, starting a fire would be much easier, so he dug a shallow pit, placed dry grass between the wood, then used all his strength to rub quickly. Finally, a wisp of smoke rose. He quickly leaned in, carefully blew on it. After some effort, finally, the fire ignited. He was as happy as a child. This was not just the fruit of his labor, but also his hope for survival. At night he lay leisurely by the bonfire, tore off a piece of roasted crab meat, took a hearty bite. A fresh yet non-greasy satisfaction instantly overwhelmed him. He even proudly shared his achievement with Wilson.
Much one of those coconuts. Coconut milk's a natural laxative. Gilligan never told us.
Later, based on the flight time and speed before the crash, he roughly calculated the crash area, which turned out to be 500,000 square miles, 3 times the size of South Korea. This meant rescuers would never find him. And so, with longing for his girlfriend and Wilson's company, Jack spent 4 full years on this deserted island. By now, he was covered in the marks of time. No longer the sunny, handsome man he once was, but disheveled and emaciated. Even Wilson had aged significantly. Clearly, he had adapted to island life. His eyes no longer held any desires. One day while arguing with Wilson, he suddenly heard a loud noise outside. He cautiously climbed out of the cave to check, only to find a discarded plastic sheet. He propped it up by the shore, then carefully studied its potential uses. When a gust of wind blew it over, it suddenly dawned on him. The plastic sheet could be used as a sail. In these 4 years, Zach never lost track of time. Through meticulous records, he knew tides were highest in March and April, and the wind blew toward the sea, the perfect time to leave the island. But now he only had a month and a half to prepare, so he sprang into action, built a raft, stripped almost all the bark from the island's trees, to weave ropes, but there still weren't enough ropes. Wilson seemed to keep urging him. Time was running out.
I know where there's 30 feet of extra rope, but I'm not going back up there.
A year earlier, Zach had prepared a rope on the cliff to end his life. Now that rope became his hope for escape. A month later, everything was ready. Zach carved his name on the stone wall, boarded the raft with Wilson and the unopened package. For 4 full years, he had fantasized about this moment, but it still posed a huge challenge. As the sea wind brought towering waves, he seized the moment to unfurl the sail. With the wind's power, he successfully passed the first hurdle. When he excitedly looked back at the island, his heart was filled with mixed emotions, a bittersweet reluctance. After all, this place had nurtured him for 4 years. Under the sunset's glow, the lonely island gradually blurred, until it disappeared. During his drifting days, he collected rainwater to drink, sustained himself by catching fish, but the sea was never smooth sailing. A sudden storm blew away his sail in an instant. He curled up, clutched Wilson tightly, amid the wind and rain, slowly lost consciousness. When he woke again, Wilson was gone. He lay hopelessly on the wood, then threw the paddle into the sea, waiting for death. Perhaps heaven pitied him. Soon after, a cargo ship approached him. Later, he flew back to his hometown. In the lounge, excited to meet his girlfriend, but instead, her husband arrived. From the man, he learned Kelly had waited for him for 2 full years, until the authorities declared him dead. Only then did she give up on their love. After hearing the man's words, Zach didn't know how to respond. He could only silently watch him leave. Then he drew the curtains, and saw the Kelly he had longed for day and night, to welcome Zach's return. Friends threw her a party, but now he had become withdrawn. After seeing them off, he lay on the the floor, unable to sleep. Looking at the rusted pocket watch in his girlfriend's photo, he suddenly realized everything had already changed. It was time to return what belonged to her. He walked to her doorstep, hesitating whether to knock, but the door suddenly opened. They exchanged small talk as if they'd met yesterday, yet in the pauses, they silently gazed at each other, as if countless words remained unspoken. The ex-girlfriend returned Zach's car to him. This car held their happiest memories. Zach drove away. The car moved so slowly, inching further away, and then the woman could no longer contain her surging emotions. She rushed into the pouring rain. Zach quickly reversed the car. They embraced tightly. Anyone could see they still loved each other, but this was adult reality. Though unwilling, they had to let go.